Oh, hi there, and welcome to another edition of What's the Word in association with Ladbrokes. This week I'm joined by Shane Mann from our sponsors Ladbrokes, Brendan Duke in midfield, and Johnny Ward beside me as well. How are you guys doing? You alright?
Very well, Tom.
Been enjoying the sun?
Yeah, it's been lovely, hasn't it? Dukey's dressed accordingly today.
In fairness, Brendan Duke, you have broken out your summer wardrobe.
I have. This is actually my summer wardrobe. Yeah, I got.
Maybe
this.
talk us through your look.
Well, I'll tell you about this shirt. This shirt is 15 years old. You find that hard to believe, I'd say, Tom.
No.
Oh, right, so basically, I got this when I was in Thailand, because when you go to Thailand, one of the things you do, as well as getting on jet skis with no insurance and blazoned on the side of them, is...
I'm glad that's where you went with that story. Okay, go on. Yeah.
Is that you go to a tailor.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I got a suit from Mr. Singh, and he also did me a couple of summer shirts, and because it's a James Bond thing, is there are certain people in the world that no matter what city they're in, they can just say, "Send for my tailor."
Oh, very good.
There's only one city I can say that in. But Mr. Singh, if he's still in business, 15 years, well, why wouldn't he be? The quality of work.
Mr. Singh.
Mr. Singh, yes. Yeah.
And talk to your trousers as well, because they're pretty spectacular.
Yeah, linen trousers.
Linen trousers,
as synonymous with summer as strawberries and cream.
Absolutely.
Basically, yeah, it's like wearing your pajamas wearing these linen trousers. I can feel every breath of wind. And what you want to do in life, Tom, as much as you can, is turn the world into your bedroom.
Absolutely. You got to use the Panama hat
in there.
So that's the look at the moment.
What about you, Johnny? You had a good week?
Yeah, grand. Yeah. Busy week. Aidan O'Brien's on Monday. Had the British press over, and
what did you learn?
That the British press like to ask a lot of strange questions. Like, you know,
there were a few strange questions.
Do you pray for your horses? You know,
that's a bit much.
What time do you go to bed? Will you be around for the setting of Emilio Modigliani, the painting, which he wasn't. He said he'd be in bed, and so on and so forth. But the highlight was meeting former Irish cricket captain and coach Trent Johnson in Coppers, actually.
Oh, yeah.
On Thursday AM.
Thursday AM. So it was actually before the cricket started, then, was it, or was it after the match?
I think it was after the game.
Oh, right.
Were you in attendance in Malahide?
No, I wasn't. I've been getting a lot of sports in of late, but not the cricket. But
add it to the list.
Yeah.
You can drink all day
as well. You can. You did a bit of darts, Whoa.
Yeah, absolutely. Last night with MVG, who just ran away with the final in the end. I thought Michael Smith was a tad bit overpriced around about 5-1 before the off, but MVG was throwing darts out of this world. I mean, averaging 120 throughout the match. You just can't keep up with that. And, you know, he's going to be tough to beat in all major tournaments this year, including the Worlds back in December.
World's greatest human being, according to Steve Palmer of the Racing Post.
MVG.
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far, but he's a hell of a dart player.
Listen, Steve Palmer could do no wrong at the moment after last weekend's tipping absolutely 4,000 and something to one winner on the golf. Anyway, let's move on to the racing action. The Larkins, the first all-age Group 1 of the year. Shane, give us a few prices there.
Yep, 3:40 start for the feature race over the weekend. Hamrod Engine 3-1. Lamato will be about 9-2. Adaya 11-2. Massive improver this season. 8-1 Beat the Bank. 10-1 Zabil Prince. 12's Lancaster Bomber. 12 Studios, and we got 16's Bar.
Duke, you've had a look at this race.
I have. Tough race, 16 runners makes it tough anyway, but there are more questions than answers. Rhododendron probably wants further. Lamato probably doesn't want as far. Adabe, in fairness, is Goldilocks. A mile is his trip. But the ground is a concern for Adabe, being by pivotal. However, the dam side would give you a lot of encouragement on the ground front. And this horse has just been so impressive in his tour. I mean, wildly impressive in the Lincoln. And then you think, well, it's handicap form. Will it translate to group company? And it was a reasonable race in Sandown. And I mean, he just destroyed them. One pulling up. I'd definitely take a chance at that price. That if he handles the ground.
He's won on good as well before, hasn't he?
He has
in the early stage of his career.
In Ascot, yeah. It'll probably be a little bit quicker in Newbury, but very good turf in Newbury. I think he's worth taking a chance at on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought his price looked fat enough now when his price is during the week. Johnny, your thoughts?
If it were good to soft, he'd be 7-2, maybe something like that. Willie Haggis himself has admitted strong concerns about it. He said it's hard to know at home. He doesn't really do an awful lot at home. I think he said he trudges around the place, something like that. It was a nice way of putting it. Yeah, he's a really likeable, progressive horse, but I would have to be worried about the ground. Having said that, I don't think, exactly what Yuki said there, I don't think Lamato's going to get this trip.
Well, they'll have to find another excuse for him. They have a different excuse for him every time.
But if he does, a bit like Roaring Lion, we all look like idiots because he's the class act in the race. Yeah. And how was Roaring Lion sent off the price he was, blah, 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 blah. Rhododendron, couldn't see her beaten in the Oaks in general, ran into an Able. Maybe she does actually stay the mile and a half, she just ran into an Able. Probably wants a mile and 2 anyway. Yeah. So it's tough. Lancaster Bomber isn't out of it at all. I'm with Breeze here now. Breeze by Mount Nelson, out of a horse who gets quite a lot of stand on the damn side. Mount Nelson gets every type. This horse, the best form this horse has is over shorter, but he's won over further. He's fresh from Maidan, where he ran Midland over 6 furlongs, but his form isn't too bad in the context of the race. And if he can just get a good toe into it, I think he's a bit of a chance. Very, very tough race.
What price is he?
The Breeze 16s or
thereabouts. Yeah, the Breeze, he was very progressive last year, wasn't he?
Absolutely.
The Al Rayyan Stakes as well on Saturday. Sim Crystal Ocean's one more to hear.
Yeah, short field here. Tom Crystal Ocean 4-7 the last time I checked. 4-1 second step. Raheen House 5-1. Scarlet Dragon 10s and a big price bet the outsider. Build Me Up Buttercup 40-1.
This is a fairly typical stouty horse, isn't he? The Crystal Ocean, do you like him?
Well, he should be. I mean, I was a touch disappointed with his comeback, but that's probably very harsh because
just needed the run. I'd say he just needed the run.
And did beat a race-fit rival over probably a suboptimal trip. I mean, you just cannot get away from that ledger form. Coronet goes and bolts up yesterday. It's just it must be one of the strongest ledgers run in the last 20 years, and he continued his progression in the ledger. He'll likely be better this year, and he should be good enough here.
Yeah, and you imagine what heads to Hardwick or something like that afterwards, or
yes, I think he's favoured for the Hardwick at the moment. Yeah.
Standard Sir Michael Stout, 4-year-old. Yeah. Johnny, your thoughts?
Yeah, and Stouty's horse is not in bad form as well. Had an impressive winner yesterday, and this horse should take all the beating. I thought he really looked like he needed the run, and he's come back. Yeah. I laid him myself that day, so slightly to my cost. But kind of always doing enough under Ryan Moore, and just class act here.
You think he could have gone and had a Tattersall's Gold Cup pretty much to himself if he just waited a week?
Often a race that really doesn't take much winning. It was under threat of losing its Group 1 status, I think.
But they put Magician in it to make sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Although he's that typical South improver, and I suppose over the possibly slightly better over a mile and a half than the mile and 2, but he should take the beating anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you going to Navan on Saturday, Juki?
I'm not going to Navan on Saturday. I'm going to Naas on Sunday.
Okay.
Where are you going on Saturday?
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, standard. You got your summer wardrobe out, so where else would you go?
Yeah, and the weather set fair.
Okay.
You're going to wear that clobber tomorrow as well, are you?
I'd say so, yeah. I think so.
The whole summer?
I only really have one. So I have 2 shirts, though. I might change up the shirt.
You've 2 shirts, and one of them's 15
years
old.
You'll be paying a quick visit back to Mr. Singh in due course.
Yeah.
I may never...
We'll sing to that.
Do you fancy anything in that Yeats Stakes, by the way? Southern France, very, very impressive last weekend. Can you see past?
I can't see past him. Looks a particularly weak race for the grade, and I was very impressed with him on both his runs. Should have won the first time, bolted up in Leopardstown. Slightly high head carriage, but it was only a second run. But perfectly reasonable that it was greenness, and just doesn't look a strong race. Good spot, I think.
See him at Royal Ascot, I think, and possibly in the Gold Cup next year. There's real likeable stayer, and if ever a track were made for this horse, it must be Navan. Yeah,
actually, I was thinking about that yesterday in the Dante, actually, just looking at the profile of Aidan O'Brien's horses that have run in over the course of the years, they probably could be cup horses. The 2 Aidan ran in the Dante yesterday. Zabriskie was quite eye-catching, picking up third. But
yeah, it was a bit disappointing. James Cook, actually.
50-1 he went off.
Yeah.
You're liking Southern France for the Vase?
Yeah, I think that's where he may well end up. He's didn't Leading Light win that race and horses like that.
Yeah, it was over slightly further.
Yeah, they've changed it to mile 6 now. Make it a proper ledger trial. On to Sunday, we'll mention actually Royal Ascot, because at Naas on Sunday it is Royal Ascot Trials Day, so we'll look forward to that. But maybe before we look at these trials, Dookie, you've thought of a few that you might like to put up pre-Royal Ascot, a couple of selections.
Well, indeed, Tom. Spoiler alert. This is going to give you an insight into what I'm going to do in Naas on Sunday. But I have 3 bets. Oh, that's a Trixie.
In an unbelievable turn of events.
Yeah. So in the Coventry, Sergei Prokofiev is 9-2 at the moment by Scat Daddy. Straight track.
The daddy.
Well, I've certainly the straight track, and Ascot loves the place. He was just a different animal in Navan to Dundalk. His head carriage was so much better. He ran as straight as a gun barrel. Some mover. He's I'm not an expert on stride lengths, but I'd like to see what the people who are say about him. He looks to have massive stride length. So I'll put him up in the Coventry. In the Commonwealth, another Scat Daddy, none other than Sioux Nation, who runs tomorrow in an ace as well. The Sioux Nation cost, like Sergei, cost an awful lot of money. He is a horse who carries an awful lot of condition. The Ballydoyle Bruiser, I'd nickname him. I'd say
he was a huge 2-year-old.
Huge.
I don't think they could get him fit enough. That's how big he was. They couldn't even work him on grass. He's just so big.
Well, that's very interesting, Tom, because I'd say he does take an awful lot of getting fit, and he has better ground in Naas on Sunday, and he will surely come on even more than your standard Aiden progression for the run. And I'll put him up for the Commonwealth Cup. He's approximately 10 to 1. And I think I might chance Torsador for the Ascot Gold.
Oh yeah.
Obviously.
Well, the Big Orange is out. You know.
The Big O is gone now. The double OSG still lurks there, but always vulnerable on quick ground. Now he should have won last year, and it was quick ground in fairness. So he's a worthy fab. But I'm so impressed with Torsador's comeback. Admittedly on soft ground, his best form has come on soft ground, but I think that's just a coincidence.
Yeah.
I think he'd be fine on decent ground. He's around 12 to 1. I could see him as a player in the Gold Club at a price.
The Zerabad he's such a good thing each way if he runs in that race.
If he runs.
Yeah. Do you know what under I do pray?
I have his number. Just call
drop him an old text.
Bonjour, Alain.
He's just worried about the heat of Royal Ascot and going over on that ground and all that.
Because he's not used to racing in front of people.
His performance, well, he was in Maidan, to be fair. His performance was absolutely extraordinary. On a kind of a mad day, you know, a lot of maybe incredibly good performances that day, but what a turn of foot he has for a stayer. Stayer with speed, as Irma Well would say.
Indeed. Let's move on to the actual racing at Naas on Saturday. We'll start with that Owensound Stud listed race, 7 furlongs ahead, and for that, you'd imagine Mick Halford's Riazan be close enough to the top of the market.
About 11 of 4, 3 to 1 territory, I would think. Tom, just tissue odds at the moment. Brother Bear around about 7 to 2, 6s then about sometimes the Diamond, and Ambassadorial 7s Jewel Maker 12s. Bar on the tissue odds.
Dookie, anything jumping off you for that one?
I thought Brother Bear was a fair price at about 7 to 2.
Has he lost his way a little bit? Well, he lost his way the back end last year.
He definitely did, and he's not over big, so I was concerned about him on comeback. But I thought that was a pretty good comeback. Now, they finished in a bit of a heap, granted, but I think it was probably a better race than this. And I repeated that. He should go close. 7 to 2 so it seems a fair price to me.
Johnny?
Yeah, tough race. I'm with him as well. I thought his comeback run was okay. I like Riazan. Chris Hayes, an interesting booking for Michael Halford there. I presume Pat Smullen would have been riding this horse were he available. But Chris Hayes, a perfectly good ride for him to guess. Chessman is quite interesting. Well, I have a good time for Archie Watson. Wayne Lorden riding him. I suppose the main thing in this race is you're getting 3 each way places, because apart from Malibu Magic's rated 62, but apart from that, there really isn't a great deal between them. But I think Jesse's horse is in good shape. I think Brother Bear run well. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I'll be with Ambassadorial, by the way, for what it's worth. Nice
stable made of Riazan.
Yeah. James Doyle over to ride as well. Speaking of significant jockey bookings, but I definitely like Ambassadorial in that. Right, Sergei Prokopiev is obviously going to be a warm order favourite for that 3:15.
I'm down at 4 to 7 at the moment. Tom, Dandy's Ocean at 9 to 2, 8's Iser 10 to 1, Andre Amar.
My only worry about Sergei, and you didn't allude to this, apart from the pronunciation, is he's not certain to run the Coventry the way he's talking. He could go for the Norfolk. Now, I'd be with you. I'd be all over him for the Coventry. I think he'll go off far shorter. Put him up in a column at 8 to 1, but didn't get him myself. It was gone by the time, and I just think he's an absolute beast the way he did it at Navan. Had him in a treble the first day at Dundalk. Still can't believe. I don't know how he got beaten, but I think, funny enough, he's the only horse in this lineup that isn't unbeaten. Yet he's going to go off both.
Yeah, but he's talking about Nevarne, so of course he got beaten in debut. That's fine.
Just on that point as well, Aidan was saying on Monday, and he was showing us on the grass. They haven't galloped horses at all on grass yet. They're that far behind, and I was trying to bring him into a wider debate about global warming, because it was like, can we?
And you've given out about the questions the English lads were asking.
Any of it. He wasn't having any of it. But in any event,
as he pulled up in a massive 4x4 in a tractor. No.
Yeah. I think his horses will. Well, he wasn't driving it, but I think his horses will improve in the midsummer anyway. And this horse, I love him. I can't see him being beaten.
You're obviously #1 fan. You're not looking past Sergei here.
Hard to look past him, Tom.
Right, let's move on to the filly sprint there. And you'd assume So Perfect is going to be warm order here, Jiki. Are you a fan of her as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Well, interestingly, he had 2 fillies who were massively interested entered, and he's chosen her over Fairyland. I probably just about love Fairyland slightly more than So Perfect, but what a debut that was. I mean, if everyone an introduction for a horse gets one backhander, learns so much, and gets up and wins a short head. Again, she's very interesting. There are no prices out for the Albany, but running in this race would suggest she might be as Albany filly. And again, she's by Scat Daddy, so
the influence of Scat Daddy this weekend is just incredible. It's every, like, even Skitter Scatter here. There's so many of them, you know.
Can you see past Aiden in this?
No, as Dukey said, perfect debut. Won the Albany with September last year, I seem to recall. I think, and who was an impressive debutante, winning debutante. She was more impressive than her, but I think this horse will come on a lot. Wouldn't rule out Skitter Scatter now. I think Skitter Scatter is a good horse, and obviously that form on the day at Dundalk is very strong as well. But it's so perfect.
The Larkins Stakes, Jukey, I think again we have a clue about who you're going to go for here.
Yes, unfortunately, Sioux Nation. I think Sioux Nation will just come on a ton for the ground and the run.
Can you see past Sioux Nation in this?
No, now you're talking would have a bit of a chance. An awful lot to find though with Sioux Nation at the ratings, and Sioux Nation just badly needed the run the last day, basically. Looked that way and wasn't really knocked about. The Brogy man, a horse, obviously your dad trained, he's having a good campaign as well.
He certainly is. It'd be interesting how he handles the quicker ground. Cityscape, you would have concerns.
And it will get quite quick as well. Like, it's been such a drying week. They're talking of watering at one or two of the Irish
I wouldn't
tracks.
Be surprised, Even the last day at Naas, the way the ground changed over the course of the day was phenomenal drying. So, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
You have to, like, April was the wettest Irish April since the 40s or something like that. So you have a deluge of rain, a pretty mad winter as well, and all of a sudden then you have like a sustained dry period. So the ground is going to be pretty erratic at a lot of tracks, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Look, and you see track management's not straightforward. Look at Longsham and the state of the place. Like, it's,
on that point though, I think the erratic weather is going to be a major problem going forward for trainers, for horses, for everything.
Especially summer tracks.
Yeah.
Summer tracks are just not, like, they're not as well maintained. Like, no offense, but like they're not as well maintained as those bigger, like the Punches and Kerr and that. Right, let's get on to some best bets over the course of the weekend. Of course, Ladbrokes go best odds guaranteed on those multiples in shops between 12 and 2 every day. We'll start with you, Shane. Go on, give us a multi for the weekend.
Going to put up a treble again, Tom. A Dayab in the Larkins, very progressive horse this year for William Haggis. In the 225, the Al Rayyan, going to go with Raheen House in that race. Hopefully it's upset the Fab. And then in the 150, Murillo for Aidan O'Brien.
Jukey.
I'm going to do a Trixie in the same three races, interestingly enough. So we'll start off with the consensus horse, Adabe. Then I will throw in Crystal Ocean, Banker.
Yeah.
Then I will throw in the 150 Breathless Times, who I thought was interesting. Has £12 to find with Murillo granted, but I'm not sure he's that far behind him. He's unlucky in Lingfield in a decent race that's worked out pretty well. Horse going places. It might just be overpriced. It's around 6 to 1.
Good stuff, Johnny. I don't want to hark too much about it, but you, I think, gave us the only winner last week with Galway in the GAA. So looking at a surprise to you. But so what's your little multi for the weekend? It feels like a long time ago.
I had a bad day, and if I were the only one that gave a winner, gave Galway to beat Mayo.
Yep.
What a day! What a time to be alive!
What a match.
Struggled over the line.
I have to say the RP's supplement was absolutely brilliant last week, but unfortunately,
were you featured in it?
I wasn't. But Michael Mulville and David Jennings in particular did a great job. I'm miles behind this weekend though. I haven't really looked at the prices, so I should have. I'm going to be very heavy on Galway to beat Kilkenny, I think, next week. But I'm going to go with the League of Ireland for my middle tip, which is Shamrock Rovers to beat Sligo Rovers. I think Sligo are a very poor side. Graham Burke actually is in the Ireland squad on Sunday, but hopefully he'll play on Saturday. And I'm going to put him into a treble then with Sioux Nation and Sergei, named after a Soviet composer.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah.
Easy for me to say.
Sergei, I would say.
Sergei.
Like
yeah, maybe.
Like that Meerkat, doesn't he call his...
Oh, they're very likeable.
Very
likeable. But so it's not going to pay huge, but hopefully next week I'll come in a little bit more prepped on the old Gaelic games and have something.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you a couple of prices. Got Snowstar at Navan in the 335, Ambassadorial at Naas in there 240, and we'll stick in Southern France in the 410 at Navan as the back. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with more What's the Word.